Somewhere in a factory outside Gras, a machine fills a bottle with roughly $2 worth of liquid. By the time that same bottle reaches a department store counter, it will sell for $300. Public consensus treats a luxury perfume price tag as a reflection of what's inside: rare flowers, precious oils, decades of expertise distilled into a few milliliters of liquid gold. Industry marketing has spent a century reinforcing exactly that idea. The price is the ingredients. Industry cost breakdowns tell a very different story. Across most of the mass and designer fragrance market, analysts estimate the actual fragrance oil and alcohol inside a bottle account for somewhere between 1 and 10% of what's charged at retail, often closer to 3%. On a $150 bottle, that can mean the scent itself costs a few dollars. So if the liquid isn't what's being sold, what exactly is a customer paying for when they hand over $300 at the counter?
This video breaks down the real cost stack behind a luxury bottle of perfume piece by piece, from the raw materials to the glass to the marketing budget nobody talks about, and explains, with public industry data, exactly where that markup is going and why it might be more defensible than it first appears. Start with the obvious assumption that an expensive perfume must be full of expensive ingredients. Public industry breakdowns suggest otherwise. Analysts researching fragrance production costs commonly cite figures showing the actual perfume concentrate, known in the industry as the juice, represents only a small single-digit percentage of retail price on most designer bottles. One widely cited example, a $150 bottle where the fragrance ingredients inside cost somewhere close to $1.50. Myth: rare naturals dominate every formula, driving the price up ingredient by ingredient. Reality: those materials are usually present in fractions of a percent. Orris butter, one of the most expensive materials in perfumery, can run tens of thousands of dollars per kilogram, but a formula might use a few grams of it per liter. Rose Absolute and oud oil follow the same logic. They contribute character in tiny concentrations, not volume. Regulatory limits imposed by the International Fragrance Association push formulas even further towards synthetic reconstruction, since certain natural materials, like oak moss, are now capped for safety reasons and rebuilt using compliant synthetic substitutes. This is where the story takes its first real turn. Modern synthetic aroma chemicals aren't filler. Molecules like iso-E super and hedione are considered some of the most sophisticated tools in a perfumer's kit, prized for consistency and
complexity that natural materials alone can't reliably deliver batch after batch. So the juice being cheap doesn't mean it's simple. It means the cost of formulation has been engineered down, even as the creative complexity has gone up. Contract manufacturing data backs this up at scale. Private label fragrance producers commonly quote ex-works costs, the price before any branding, marketing, or retail markup is added, of roughly $2 to $6 for a simple economy formula in a standard 50 milliliter unit, climbing to somewhere between $18 and $60 for a bespoke small batch luxury formulation. Even at the top of that range, before a single dollar of brand building is added, the raw production cost sits nowhere close to the final shelf price. Industry pricing logic typically applies a multiplier of 3 to 7 times that manufacturing cost just to reach a baseline retail figure, and that's before prestige positioning enters the equation at all.
If the liquid isn't the expense, the next place to look is what's holding it. And here, public reporting shows the numbers flip dramatically. Industry cost analyses estimate that the bottle, cap, and box for a luxury fragrance can cost 4 to 6 times more to produce than the fragrance inside it. Custom bottle molds alone are reported to cost brands tens of thousands of dollars before a single unit is filled. Packaging is estimated to account for roughly 20 to 30% of a luxury fragrance's total retail price. That includes weighted glass, metal caps, printed cartons, and for genuinely high-end releases, crystal work from houses like Baccarat, where the bottle itself is treated as a collectible object, independent of what's inside it. For some prestige releases, industry estimates suggest more capital is spent developing the bottle than developing the formula. This explains a pattern collectors have long noticed. Two fragrances with nearly identical juice cost can carry wildly different price tags, purely because one ships in a mass-produced glass unit and the other in a hand-finished, individually numbered flacon. The packaging isn't hiding the absence of expensive liquid. In the luxury tier, it's often functioning as the actual product being sold. There's a less visible cost sitting behind all of this glass too. Perfume alcohol is classified as a hazardous liquid for international shipping purposes, and industry analysts note that transport regulations and cross-border tariffs can add another 10 to 20% onto the final retail price before a bottle ever reaches a shelf. Reporting on recent tariff changes affecting fragrances
imported from Europe and the Middle East into North America shows that single policy shifts can move retail pricing industry-wide, independent of anything happening inside the bottle itself. Here's the retention spike that changes the entire equation. Marketing is consistently cited by industry analysts as the single largest cost driver behind a luxury perfume's price tag, commonly estimated at somewhere between 30 and 50% of the retail price on a heavily promoted launch. A single full-page advertisement in a major fashion magazine has been reported to cost brands upward of $30,000 for one placement in one issue. Fragrance industry discussion boards and market analysts frequently point to celebrity licensing as a specific driver here. A famous face attached to a launch brings promotional commitments and licensing fees that get folded directly into the shelf price, independent of anything related to scent quality. Public industry commentary notes that some of the most iconic celebrity fragrance lines have generated well over $1 billion in career earnings for the person whose name is on the box, long before any of that revenue touches the cost of the liquid. Industry guidance on marketing allocation makes the disparity even sharper. Established fragrances might see 3 to 6% of revenue reinvested in ongoing marketing, but a brand new launch can burn through as much as 70% of first-year revenue just building initial awareness, which raises an uncomfortable question the next chapter has to answer. If this much of the price tag is manufactured perception rather than manufactured product,
who actually keeps the money once all those costs are paid? There's one more cost line hiding inside that marketing figure that rarely gets mentioned: compliance. Stricter European rules on synthetic musks and other regulated materials have reportedly pushed research and development spending up by 15 to 20% industry-wide as houses reformulate existing scents to stay within updated safety thresholds. That expense doesn't show up on packaging or in an ad campaign, but public industry analysis suggests it still gets absorbed into the retail price alongside everything else. Once a fragrance leaves the factory, it passes through several more hands, and each one takes a cut. Department stores and specialty beauty retailers are commonly reported to apply markups in the range of 45 to 60% on top of wholesale price. That covers the cost of prime shelf placement, trained counter staff, free samples, and the kind of polished in-store experience that reinforces the sense of exclusivity a customer is implicitly paying for. Independent boutiques, industry commentary notes, can push that markup even higher, sometimes exceeding 100% in exchange for a curated selection and a more personalized buying experience. Public industry breakdowns estimate that luxury perfume brands can retain gross margins in the range of 70 to 85% before marketing, salaries, and operating costs are even factored in, compared to 50 to 70% for mass market fragrances. For every $100 a customer spends on a prestige bottle, industry estimates suggest $60 to $85 of that can be gross profit before overhead. That's a margin structure closer to what's seen in software or luxury handbags than in a typical consumer packaged good. And this is precisely why the dupe and clone economy has been able to undercut luxury pricing so aggressively without necessarily sacrificing scent accuracy.
A formulator building a comparison fragrance skips the ad campaign, the celebrity licensing fee, the crystal bottle mold, and the department store markup entirely, inheriting only the actual cost of the juice, which, as established earlier, was never the expensive part to begin with. Cutting out almost the entire cost stack leaves the liquid essentially untouched.
So the headline holds up under scrutiny, but the framing needs a correction. A $300 perfume doesn't cost $5 to make because someone is getting cheated. It costs $5 to make because almost none of that price was ever about the liquid. It's about the mold, the magazine spread, the counter display, and the story built around all three. Every stage of that chain compounds on the last. A cheap juice becomes expensive glass. Expensive glass becomes a marketing asset worth photographing. The photograph becomes a magazine placement, and the magazine placement becomes justification for a department store markup nobody questions at the counter. None of these individual costs are fabricated. The molds are real, the ad campaigns are real, the retail margins are real. What's manufactured is the impression that any of it traces back to what's actually in the bottle. A few structural takeaways hold up across the data for anyone navigating this. Price is a poor predictor of scent quality or longevity on its own.
Those depend far more on concentration and formulation than on marketing spend. A comparison fragrance, skipping the packaging and advertising budget, can legitimately deliver a close scent experience for a fraction of the cost, though it typically gives up some of the final accuracy and batch consistency. And when a brand does invest heavily in rare naturals or hand-finished packaging, that's usually verifiable through concentration labeling and material transparency, rather than something to take purely on faith. Once the cost stack is laid out this plainly, the real question isn't why perfume is expensive. It's whether people are actually buying a scent at all, or paying $300 for the story wrapped around $5 of liquid.